Had the most laps, but a broken camshaft kept him out of winner's circle. But he bounced back last year. Can he make it 3 out of 4 here at the Runoffs? We'll find out next, right here on Speed. In the last 3 years in Sports 2000, John Fergus has 3 poles and 2 national championships. That means he's fast. This Hans device means he's also smart. He set the standard that everybody in this class compares themselves to, and he's not ready to give up that dominance. But there are people chasing him. Mark Hardiman qualified and finished second last year at the Runoffs, and this year, 2 wins and 5 podiums beat John to the Central Division Championship. A division championship's nice. He wants national gold. And how about Giovanni Sorbello? After a number of years off from racing, he's back. This is his first ever visit to Mid-Ohio, and he'd love to pull the rug out from underneath the favorites. It's all about stories, and another sports car racer of some note, David Hobbs, has a few more.
Greg, some really interesting stories in Sports 2000. Duke Johnson, he's been a long-time runner in this series. He's got 2 wins this year, and is the runner-up in the Midwest Division. Alongside him, car number 66, Hans Peter. Another great story. Last year, if you remember, he didn't practice or qualify here at the Runoffs, started dead last and came through to finish 3rd. This year, though, he's had 3 wins in the Midwest Division and has ended up as the champion. But a great story is Mark Mercer. The first and last time he raced here at Mid-Ohio was 30 years ago. He gave up racing for 9 years and has been prepping other people's race cars. And at the June Sprints this year, he thought, hey, you know, maybe I should get back behind the wheel. He put himself this loader together, did enough races to get points to get here to the National Championship, and here he is running for the National Championship.
The competitors have spent a full season of racing, trying for a divisional championship and perhaps an invite to the national championships. The contenders are set, the preparations are done, the butterflies are in full flight. It is time to determine our 2002 champion in Sports 2000. Hi everybody and welcome to the Olympics of Motorsports. It's the Sports Car Club of America's National Championships, the 39th edition of the Valvoline Runoffs from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. David Hobbs, this is the 9th time these championships have been held here, and there's a reason.
There certainly is. It's one of the most challenging courses in North America. Just 2.4 miles, 15 turns, including that chicane going into the top left corner there. Long straightaway down into the bottom right of your picture, and then a lot of very tricky corners there with elevation change, bumps and jumps all over the place. Difficult to overtake on here.
Sports 2000 runs in the sports racing category. Tell us about it.
Well, these are full racing cars with beautiful bodies, full fended bodies. Obviously, they're open top cars, but they've all got a Ford single overhead cam engine developing round about 200.
Well, let's take you to our Valvoline starting grid. John Fergus there in pole. Mark Mercer continues to be a great story.
Boy, he certainly does. Look at that second on the first time back after a 10-year layoff. Bart Wolf from Elkhart Lake. Got some driving tips from Steve Knapp, Rookie of the Year in Indy a couple of years ago, so he's looking good too.
Another driver to keep an eye on, Alexander Smith. Off his form a little bit in qualifying, but lots of wins this year, and he also has some pro experience in these cars. He may be a player as we get underway. Now, those butterflies we were talking about are in full flight down on the grid. Let's introduce you to the first of our pit reporters, Brian Till.
Well, I think the story down here, Greg, has to be weather and experience. It rained very hard last night, washed whatever rubber was on the track off, and the track is still damp. That means experience is going to come into play on this very difficult Mid-Ohio circuit. The guy with the experience, John Fergus. He won it in '99. He won it last year again in '01. He's the guy with the experience. My money's got to be on him. Now let's get down to my colleague in speed, John Bizignano.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. The other story down here is the inexperience that this field might have. Now, normally, 12 cars will make up a full grid for S2000. It's one of the more expensive forms of racing that the SCCA hosts. This year, 22 cars taking the grid. That means some of these drivers are in this car for the first time, going for their first national championship. Let's see how that inexperience plays out.
Well, John, it might very well make the racing very interesting. We're fortunate to have a great onboard shot. We'll be riding with the number 66 of Hans Peter. Now, you remember his brilliant drive from the back of the pack to a bronze last year. To this day, he is qualified in 5th. We expect great things out of him and certainly some great shots as he takes the show right into your face. And we'll bring that to you when we come back to Mid-Ohio. Valvoline Runoffs is brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. The field now making its way through the final corner. Pace car, one of the pace cars, the parade car is in, and here they come up the front straight, and they get the indication one more lap. They will run under the yellow flags here. as the field continues to circulate. Obviously, everybody trying to scrub in some heat in those tires right now with the rain. Brian Till alluded to, David,
exactly.
the track green and cool.
That what Brian Till said is absolutely crucial. It's fairly early in the morning here, and it's the track is cool, overcast, rained very, very heavily last night. So all the rubber these guys have been putting down since Monday is practically all gone.
Now, John Bizignano, I understand some drama's developed already for Duke Johnson.
Well, absolutely. Can you imagine being here all week long and then being late to the grid? Duke did a great job. He qualified 8th, but because of being late for the final grid to go out on the track, he is put right to the back of the field. So, unfortunate for him, but for the TV viewers, watch him come through that field. He's going to be moving up quickly.
Should be fascinating. The field now, as they come out of this last turn, the keyhole here at the Mid-Ohio track, we start on this long back straight, and they are all queuing up side by side, getting ready for the green here to start the 2002 Valvoline Runoffs. Boy, Fergus bringing him up very nicely. Now he rolls into the throttle, and the green flies. We are underway. Fergus jumps to the lead. Behind him, though, David, look at that pack out.
Tremendous gaggle. 4 abreast there. Mark Mercer on the outside. A little bit damp there, as you can see, going into what is their turn 1 of the race.
Boy, Mark Wolf tried to get around one of the cars. He ended up losing a couple of spots as he got trapped. Right there is Wolf, middle of the screen, the red car. Moving up, though, Dave Dullum actually qualified 3rd, slipped back a spot, but got it back. So Wolf is the loser in that exchange, and I believe that's Hans Peter, who went from 5th to 2nd.
Well, he went from the back to the 3rd last year. You can see how damn that track is on the backside there. If they get offline, makes overtaking so difficult, because if you go offline there, we see on board now with Hans Peter just behind John Fergus. Now, John Fergus, talking about experience, he's got a lot of experience here at Mid-Ohio, living just down the road in Columbus. So this is definitely his home track, but Hans Peter giving it all at the moment. Great on-board shots here. So we come up to turn 1, very fast left-hand sweeper.
One of the things the drivers were saying is they often ran combined with the D-Sports racers. But they would split them out on occasion, but then it would only be a 10-minute qualifying session, and some of the drivers said they couldn't get in a good lap. Problems. That's the number 11 of Richard Worley is one of the cars off. Another one is one of the Doran chassis machines, the blue car. Behind him, you can see some damage to the front of Worley's Lola. He's chatting with one of the workers. The other driver as well, climbing out of his car.
Extensive damage to Worley's car there, so they must have come together and taken each other out. Hans Peter still hanging right on there to John Fergus. There's some action going on there for 3rd spot.
Yeah, that's Mercer on the right, and he is trying to hang on under the onslaught from number 92, Alex Smith. Remember, I mentioned Smith didn't qualify quite like he normally would, but he is such a talented driver. As a matter of fact, as I said, a former pro champ in these type of cars, and he's marching to the front, moves up to 3rd already.
Having got around Mercer, he's starting to pull away.
Now let's watch and see if he has anything to be able to run down Hans Peter. He's already eased away from Mercer, who remains, I think, just a wonderful story, what the runoffs are all about in many ways. As he came back, found the need wasn't quite gone yet.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Been preparing cars for like nearly 10 years for other people, and just thought on a whim at the runoffs there in June sprints that maybe I should be doing this, you know. Went back.
Yeah, he had a chassis sitting there that wasn't complete, finished it up, managed to qualify, and then qualifies on the front row. He slipped back just a little bit behind them. Now here's number 31, David Dullum, and David is in a furious scrap with Dave Ferguson, that lime green Swift, really trying to hound at this point Dullum. Dullum, remember, qualified in the 3rd spot, but he slipped back to 5th. Right behind him, Ferguson, and that's one of the interesting things. Ooh, Ferguson, a huge loose moment at the exit of the chicane.
This is such a crucial corner here too, the keyhole. It just goes on and on and on. It's a 180-degree corner. It's got elevation change right in the middle of the corner. It's got no camber on the way out to help you at all. But the exit is so important because it leads onto this long straight. At the end of this straight is really your best shot at overtaking on this track. Behind them, I believe that's Bart Wolf in the red car. Bart qualified 4th, but he has slipped back a bit, lost some ground in these early laps.
Well, he tried to get around the outside of Dullum when Dullum slipped back a little bit, and it balked Bart a little bit, and he slipped further back. But look at Ferguson now applying some serious pressure on Dullum, working the inside there, but it's going to put him on the outside with a left-hander here at the exit of what they call Madness, that whole roller coaster intersection there, the S's in Madness, and now here's turn 11. Very abrupt change right there. It just drops off. Car gets incredibly light as you drop down into Thunder Valley.
It's great to get the car set up to go over there just right and keep the power on as you lose, as the car loses all its weight. The suspension droops badly there, but if you get it set up right, you can make use of that. And you need that speed all the way up through, because at the carousel, there is a shot of overtaking people going into the carousel.
Up front, John Fergus has stretched his margin out just a little bit. Last lap, it was 1.8 seconds, and it's about that right now, as at this point, Hans Peter, although he's dropped back a little bit, is not losing any additional ground to Fergus at this point. Ooh, big loose moment there for Peter as he's throwing the car around, trying to chase down the defending national champion here at the Valvoline Runoffs. Where John Fergus continues to lead in the national championship for Sports 2000. Having a nice run at this stage right now. Second, continuing the pursuit. Oh, let's jump back. That's 47. Duke Johnson has looped it. He got moved to the back for not making it to the grid on time, as Biz told us. And in his exuberance, perhaps?
Well, of course, he had his work really cut out. Here we see what happened.
What's coming into the S's?
Just got... Oh, is he going to get tagged here? He is going to get tagged.
Ooh, he got help, didn't he?
He got help big time there.
That's the number 15, Jeff Whalen.
Ooh, helped him round, but Jeff Whalen got away with that. Didn't seem to have done any damage and carried on. We couldn't see the front of his car. Doesn't look like it was damaged, but poor old Duke Johnson started from the back. Now he's at the back again, having obviously got past at least the number 15 car there. You
Looks like he's got a wrinkle to the diffuser back there. It's going to affect his handling. Meanwhile, back up front is John Fergus, as we talked about. Fergus now has stretched it out about another second. It's 2.8 seconds last time by start finish. Hans Peter continues his pursuit, and John Bizignano from the onboards, we're watching Hans' car just a bit loose.
Well, we got some information from the crew chief. The reason he got that great start, they changed the gear that they thought he'd be starting in right before the beginning of the race. It was an untested thing, so they had the perfect gear, perfect RPM. When the flag dropped, boom, he went to second place. They also worked out an understeer in the car. They made some changes with no testing, no practice, but they absolutely did the right thing. The understeer is gone from the car. He's turning his fastest laps, but can he hold on to Fergus? That's the question.
That's the question. Right now we're on board. We're just going to, we're going to head out and a big off, bodywork gone everywhere on that machine. Not exactly sure. I think it might be Giovanni Sorbello, one of the drivers we talked about up at the top of the show. And he has had a substantial off.
Boy, I tell you, big one there. Ripped all the bodywork off the car. Doesn't seem to have done a lot of damage to the chassis. Broken those braces on the front, and his right front suspension is looking pretty deranged.
It is indeed Sorbello. And obviously he looks to be okay, if not maybe a little bit rattled at this stage. But he's going to climb out of the car. Here's another look at it.
Oh, he's already had some sort of an incident, which is deranged the bodywork. Oh, that's what happens. The bodywork flies off. Wow, just going down the straight. Of course, as you can see, the road's wet, and of course, this grass is very wet. So he's not losing much space, but just look at that bodywork fly apart. It looks to me like he got clipped in the back by somebody, probably at the keyhole hairpin, which broke the bodywork, and then, of course, the whole thing came apart. Boy, that must have given him a horrible shock.
Well, he looked back at his car there and just sort of went, I have no idea what happened. He ran Ace Sports Racing, essentially Can-Am cars, at the Runoffs back at Road Atlanta in the 80s. But it's been a long time since he's been racing, and boy, sort of a ignominious return to the sport. Meanwhile, there's John Fergus. He has been absolutely phenomenal in the last few years here, Brian Till, and obviously he's still got it set up.
Oh, he definitely still has it set up. I asked Randy Hartman, his crew chief, his longtime crew chief and brother-in-law, I said, has he said anything? Absolutely not. He hadn't said a word. He said he very rarely talks, Brian. He's putting his head down and doing his job. They had a little push in the warm-up this morning. That's gone away, and it looks like the tires are coming in. John's a professional. He's going to let this thing warm up and go.
Well, one thing about John Fergus and his experience over the years, and I mean, he's driven so much stuff to such great success, he is very mechanically attuned to that car, and he works very hard at getting that set up.
And, of course, he did some pro racing, but I don't think he ever sort of gave it all he got somehow. And but I think that John Fergus could have been very successful in the pro ranks.
Superb battle a little bit further back. That lead car, the red one, is Bart Wolf. Right behind him is Mark Hardiman, second here last year. And then it's Dan Dubrovich, and right in front of those two, there's 31. David Dillon.
It's taken Bart a little bit of time to get into the groove, but he's catching up with Smith and Ferguson there in the green car and the red car for Dulliman. I mean, Dulliman and Ferguson in front of him. So Bart Wolf now is starting to pull away from these trio scrapping behind him, but he is gradually catching up with that green car of Ferguson.
Yeah, that's Hardiman right there behind, and then the next blue car is Dubrovich, and then Chris Tryon is coming on strongly as well.
Ooh.
And you can see there's a bit of body work or something that flew off the track. So a bit of a problem out there. Let's check in with Brian Till.
Well, this is not the way Duke Johnson wanted his runoffs to end up this year, Duke. Problem with the grid in the beginning, and then no respect once you got out on the track.
Hey, Brian, I love the time you pick to interview me. You hope for some emotional moment. A guy pointed me by. I was moving up to the front, or at least towards the front. I didn't have much chance to get all the way up there, but he pointed me by, and then he hit me in the rear. And apparently he broke something in the rear. I couldn't go any further.
Well, we can see that he had a lot of diffuser damage. That's a shame for Duke Johnson. He's one of the true gentlemen of the sport in this class. He will be back, guys. You'll see him again.
It's a tough way for it to end, no question of that. John Fergus continues to lead, is now just a tick over 3 seconds in front. So Fergus putting on one of his clinics once again here at Mid-Ohio as he goes for a championship. And one more look at what happened to Giovanni Sabuelo. Back at Mid-Ohio for the Valvoline Runoffs Sports 2000 National Championship on the line. And it almost seems these days like it's going to go to John Fergus, bar any problems. He is having another incredible run, about 3.5 seconds up right now. Hans Peter runs second. Alex Smith sits in the third spot right now. And oh, good racing here. That's number 2. That's Mike Durley going underneath and picking up the spot. Nice pass on Franz Fischelli. So a good move there by Mike Burke as he's made the move, moved into the 15th spot. And it's some good aggressive racing, regardless of where you are here in the national championships. These guys find somebody to race with,
Absolutely.
and it's a show.
It's racing all through the field. You've got to look at the timing score sheet here. There's very, very close racing between like 5th, from 5th down to 11th. We've only got just a couple of seconds covering that spread for us. So it's very, very close all the way through. And so even at the back, these guys are racing hard. Think about racing. You've got to keep racing right to the checkered flag, because you just never know when anything's going to go to hell in front of you, and you suddenly find yourself in the lead.
Good look here at Richard Mullen having a good run, working his way up through the pack. Earlier, John Bizignano talked to this competitor.
Over 64,000 members belong to the Sports Car Club of America, and one of the reasons is because of all the social aspects at every race weekend. Richard Mullen is known as one of the biggest partiers, especially when it comes to the championships. Richard, what's the menu for the weekend?
We're going to have salmon, homemade French fries. We're going to have pork tenderloin, potato salad, spaghetti, hot dogs, sausage, and burgers. And then if we have time, we're going to race and have a good time, win or lose.
Well, I know where I'm coming for lunch. Best of luck on the racing.
Thank you, sir.
David, I wonder why Biz never told us where that was.
No, he didn't. He kept that very quiet. So like you said, if he got some time, he'd race. Well, here he is racing. So as soon as this race is over, back to the old compound there, and no doubt have a wonderful beast. Looking a bit loose there, his car.
Yeah, up from 17th to 12th. Meanwhile, up front a little bit, that battle continues. It's the battle for the 14th spot. Jeff Whalen, Mike Burke, and Franz Fischelli, they are going after it right here. And number 74, that's Fischelli right there in the back spot, the second of those cars. And he is still, even though he gave the spot up to Burke, now he is trying to hound him and come back into it. The problem for them is, as we said, we got a driver that's closing in on the back of them. Martin Johns, the blue machine. Now that's interesting. That's an older 1984 Tiga that the number 74, excuse me, the number 70 of Johns is driving, and he's driving the wheels off it.
They're all driving the wheels off it. The discouraging thing is that you're racing for like 15th spot on. But that is racing. I mean, it's very competitive all the way through this field. Lap times looking very... The only guy that's really seemed to got a huge handle on this is John Fergus. Hans Peter, too, looking pretty strong. But Hans losing ground very slightly to Fergus every lap. Looked good at the first couple of laps. Looked like he's going to be able to hang on and actually close the gap up a little bit. But when the tyres came in, when John's tyres came in, that was it. He was off.
Well, I think that, and that's exactly what we were talking about with John's ability to set things up. Number 2 here, continuing to feel the heat. Burke, I mean, he worked his way into that spot. Now, though, boy, did he get a nice run out of the keyhole there, and that's so crucial. And you can see on these cars, hey, trying to get a little cramp out of his hand there.
I think he was adjusting the mirror, wasn't he?
That what it was. Okay.
I think so.
Could very well well, maybe he's just turning it down. I don't want to know who's behind me.
Doing a Michael Schumacher, who we saw adjusting his mirror last week at Monza in the Italian Grand Prix, was all rather cool.
Here's a look at 31. David Dullum qualified in the 3rd spot, but back in 5th. And Dullum just dropped back at the start. And Brian Tilley just hasn't been able to do anything at this stage with the guys in front. Brian Till?
Eric Langbein is his crew chief. Now, you and I talked earlier and said it was kind of difficult to set the car up for this changing weather. Looks like maybe you guys are coming on now?
I hope so. Before we made a few changes to the car, anticipating that the track would be green, because for the very first race of the week, it just rained. So I'm hoping that later in the race, the car will come to Dave and he can pick up some spots.
Well, they think they made the right changes. He was just nodding in improvement when he saw the last lap time. He said he just needs to keep his eyes forward. That's hard to do when you got that green car of David Ferguson pressuring you, but it looks like he's beginning to pull away a little bit, guys.
Well, Brian, he's spot on in the last lap. He had the fastest lap of anybody in that last lap at a 1:30.9 second lap. Fergus was at a 1:31 flat. So Dullum, I can see why that gentleman is pleased with the developments there, because Dullum is starting to throw down some very quick laps. Problem is right now, for him, he's got about a 6-second deficit to Mercer up front, who's running in the 4th spot. Then it's Alexander Smith in 3rd. Then in 2nd, it's this gentleman. Hans Peter are on board, and they're all chasing John Fergus. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio, the Valvoline Runoffs, SCCA's national championships, the Olympics of motorsport, and they are putting on an Olympic-sized battle here. That's Alex Smith, but Mark Mercer, even though he dropped behind Alex Smith not too long ago, Mercer now, apparently his car coming in a little bit, David, and he is starting to absolutely hound Alex Smith.
Well, of course, Mark Mercer's probably aware of the fact that David Dullum has also come to life just behind him. Dullum doing some quick laps, very quick laps still. So Mark Mercer really needs to keep Alexander Smith hurrying up here to try and make sure they stay in front of Dullum. Goes down the inside of the top of the hill. He's going to lose some momentum there.
Had to dip the brake as Smith came across, but he is very quick there. And this is kind of an interesting comparison between these two chassis. You look at Alex Smith's chassis, the lead car, extremely slippery. That's the Pratt & Miller chassis. It's very aerodynamic. You look at the Lola behind it, there's a lot more drag on the Lola, which means when they get into the twisty bits of the track, the Lola comes alive, doesn't it?
Got more downforce as they're coming up. This is always a tricky bit. 13 here, this left-hander. No camber to help you again. But you want to have a good exit off here, because into the carousel here, 14, you really have got a chance of getting around people.
Boy, Mercer is so effective in that section of track. Now onto the front straight, then the fastest corner on the track coming up, turn 1.
But this is where you want to be able to stay close, because through here,
ooh, Smith missed the apex badly.
Look how tight Mercer is there. I mean, really hanging in a very tight line through there. Come up to the chicane, which kind of spoils your chance of overtaking people into the keyhole, unless you can really come off the chicane really quick, which Mercer does.
Oh, he's so good here. The problem is he needs to get a little bit better run right there to stay close so he can make the move down into turn 7, because right here, that chassis, that Pratt & Miller chassis, and the aerodynamics on it, it's so slippery. It just sort of steps away just a little bit. Meanwhile, Hans Peter continues to run in the 2nd spot, and the last lap he ran 1/1000th of a second faster than John Fergus. Let's enjoy the ride with Hans Peter for a minute.
HEL2.
Well, John Visignano enjoying the ride from Hans Peter, and he's got to be happy running 2nd.
The ride, talking to him before the race, he said, Biz, you know, last year I got here for one qualifying practice and went racing. I've been here all week long. I've had too much time to think about it, and I'm a little bit over into the race. He just wanted to relax and have a little bit of a good time and do what he does best. So he's overthinking it. He wanted to get out there in a spot where he could relax, and that's what he's trying to do. But I'll tell you, we're more than halfway through this event. He's got to go for that leader.
Hey, he's got to drop the hammer right now. 20 laps total for each of the national championship races, and we're already working lap 14, coming up now to the keyhole.
See where that camera drops up there? Fast downhill straight this very tight braking area as they turn into turn 6. Woo! Just gets away from a little bit there. Up and over the hills. Big elevation change here. The car drops away. The suspension droops. Compresses as you come down here to the right-hander here. You want to make a good job of that right-hander because all this next right and left and this double apex right flows.
Oh, and here's our battle once again, and that's Alex Smith under huge attack from the number 24 of Mercer. Additional battles going on. Bart Wolf still trying to fend off Hardiman and Dubrovich. Back to this battle for third. Oh, and again, you saw Smith running a little wide, and Mercer closing back in again. Every time Mercer makes a move, though, and then Smith shuts the door, and Mercer has to dip the brake or let off a little bit. Momentum so key here, and he drops back. Let's go back and take a look at that great side-by-side moment. Oh, Smith again a little loose. He is feeling the pressure. They head onto the front straight, Mercer in tow. But this is a look back just a moment ago, David, when these guys were side-by-side at the top of madness.
Absolutely side-by-side there on that new patch of asphalt, and Mercer gets nudged down onto the grass.
Well, Alex Smith defending aggressively here at Mid-Ohio. Back at Mid-Ohio, John Fergus continues his margin. He's hit about 5 seconds, and it's been there for the last few laps as Hans Peter able really to mirror Fergus's times. But Fergus right now, I think, is driving the margin, very savvy, and knows exactly where he is on the track, and he's staying put. Now we are working lap 15. You see 14 complete there, and John Fergus having things pretty much his own way at this stage.
Absolutely having things completely his own way, just serenely going along there. He's averaging just about 90 miles an hour, just a fraction over, and Hans Peter's right up there with him. But then there's a big drop off when we get back to Alexander Smith, quite a little bit slower.
Smith and Mercer's times actually have been off a little bit because they've been doing so much side-by-side racing. And here's Mike Burke, started in the 20th spot. He's been embroiled in some great battling. He's a great competitor, and Brian Till visited with him a little bit earlier.
I've been accused of procrastination before, always putting off until tomorrow what I could get done today. But Mike Burke, I have nothing on him. He's been an SCCA member since 1974. And even though, Mike, you've been to the Runoffs in different capacities, this is your first year as a driver at the Runoffs since 1974. How much does that mean to you?
It's a tremendous thrill to be here. I've been coming to this racetrack since 1966, first as a spectator and then beginning in 74 as a corner worker. I had to do with raising a family and earning a living before I could afford to do this. This is my first year in the car. I'm thrilled that I earned an invitation to the Runoffs. To be here with 600 other competitors is great. With all these people, it's just a fantastic event. My teammate Franz Fleischle and the fellows that are taking care of the car for me, Jim Kelly and Jim Farr, have allowed me the opportunity to be here. I'm overwhelmed. I can't tell you how much it means to be here.
Tremendous emotion, and if Mike is able to win this thing, you'll see a celebration like none other.
Well, they call it the Olympics of motorsport. You can see it means a lot. Meanwhile, we're taking a look here at Richard Mullen. You can see some damage there, David, and apparently got into it a little bit with one of our other competitors here. Going to take you back and show you what happened, and it resulted in that big crunch to the right front corner of Mullen's car. And here he is. That's the move by Bill Broxick.
Going down into that turn 6. At the end of that long straight, these cars, oh, Mullen moves right over on in there, but they touch, but then he decides to have another go. He must have done to stoke the front in there, because that obviously didn't cause the front. Oh, as they go up the hill, he decides to go down the inside. Ain't gonna work. Oh, nudges him big time. Drives him off the road. The 69 car. Oh boy, the 69 car won't be happy with that at all.
Well, that was an interesting development, sir, and you're right. I mean, obviously, I don't think Mullen realized that Broxick was alongside going into 7, tapped him, but then thought he had a run on him, and Broxick just turned across, and the two of them came together. But Mullen's move seemed a little bit
Mullen's move was a bit optimistic. That's the word I was going to use, optimistic at the top of the hill there, as he tried to go under him at turn 7 there. Right on the top of the hill, not a good move there, but of course the 69 car is going to be the one that's peeved because he backed her into the fence and he's out.
Boy, this battle for third continues to be stellar between Smith and Mercer and Brian Till. Right now, Smith is hanging on by his skin.
Well, yeah, he is, and if Chris Helt has anything to do with it, he won't be. Chris, crew chief for Mark Mercer, does he have enough to get to the podium? Can he get by Smith?
I certainly think so. It looks like he's playing a waiting game at this point. A difficult track to pass. very, very difficult areas to pass on this track, so we'll just wait and see.
Well, if the crew has anything to do with it and rooting them on and cheering them on get you there, I think Mercer's going to get to the podium. These guys are cheering hard down here, Greg.
Well, I think Mark Mercer's technique is just a little bit astray here. He's obviously got the quicker car. The 92 car is much quicker down the straight, but Mark Mercer could be able to get by, but he just keeps trying in the wrong places.
Well, again, he hasn't had a lot of racecraft over the last 9 years, but it's coming back to him in a big hurry, but he's running out of time. Laps to go here in the Sports 2000 National Championship at the Valvoline Runoffs in Mid-Ohio, on board with Hans Peter, and he continues to throw in some pretty quick laps, but the problem is the leader, John Fergus, John Bizignano, is running exactly the same times.
Well, here's how you win a championship. Look at these times. Throughout the whole race, they're within 1 second of another. Right now, he was 6 seconds ahead of number 2. He's dropped back to 5.6, but I think he's just stroking it out there, guys. He wants to be comfortable the last 1, 2, 3 laps until becoming a national champion, hopefully.
Well, keep in mind, last year he led 18 of 20 laps, and then a camshaft broke, and it dropped him out, and he didn't even make the finish. So I think John Fergus savvy enough to know that I've got a lead. If I can back it off just a notch, not stress the engine quite as much, and make sure I bring it home to win that 3rd title in 4 years. And now he has 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go for John Fergus. Again, that margin to Hans Peter, as it has been the last few laps, as Biz pointed out, but right at about 5.5 to 5.7 seconds, and it's been like that for some time. Then a pretty decent margin right now of some 12 seconds back to that great battle between Mercer and Alex Smith. And Hans Peter right there doing everything he can to stay close. But one thing I was going to say too, David, with all of this rain and the like, there's concrete patches all over, and when it washes the track off and the rubber goes away, those concrete patches also create some interesting changes in grip, sometimes at just the wrong spot.
You getting this? Oh, yeah.
Can John Fergus do it? That's what's been the speculation all weekend. And now he's coming up indeed on some traffic. And this is that battle.
This is that battle. So neither of these guys are going to want to give him much room here, because no one's going to want to lift up to let him by.
Well, this is when Fergus is just praying those corner workers are throwing big blues and the drivers are paying attention. That's Fleischy. He sits in the 16th spot. Burke right in front of him in the 15th spot. One thing Fergus has going for him is he does have that margin. He can be a little patient getting by, but with these cars in there and their need to keep momentum up, you lift, you lose a second.
Well, he's got nearly a 6-second lead over Hans Peter alongside the 74 car now. That's Fleischy as they go down under turn 1. So he's picked one off without losing much ground. But of course, look how 74 lost ground there to the 2 car, Mike Berkey. So that could be not what he wanted to see.
Nope, he gets by Fleischly. Now he's going after Burke. Meanwhile, we've been watching that battle for 3rd. That has been absolutely superb. And there's the pass. Number 24, Mercer. He must have listened and found the place to make the move and ducked around Alexander Smith. There's Smith behind him. But look how quickly Mercer, once he got in front, he's opened it up now.
Mercer needs some good daylight between himself and the 19 cars that come through out of the chicane and around the keyhole, because the keyhole down to turn 7, the 19 car is definitely quicker. There's no doubt about it.
Boy, but he did open up a pretty good margin ever since he got the pass made. And Fergus has made it around Mike Burke. So Fergus now has lapped up to the 15th position here. And it didn't look like it cost him all that much time in making that sequence of passes to move up. So Fergus, boy, when it's working for you, it's working. Patience, and then when he sees the opportunity, he's decisive.
His car is very quick, too, on the straight. I noticed when he came out of the carousel on around turn 15 on the start-finish line. I mean, boy, his car is very quick. Of course, part of that is because he's quick off the corner.
He's happy. He's thrilled already.
Never waves the crowd till the checker flag's flown.
Comes on to the front straight, and the checker is out. He has done it. Fergus has lived up to the billing and has dealt with the pressure and puts in another national championship run in Sports 2000. He couldn't wait to celebrate. Here's Hans Peter, who comes through right about 5.8 seconds. So Peter, he could run with Fergus, but not fast enough to catch Fergus. And Peter's going to settle for the silver, but it's one step better than he was last year. He had bronze last year, silver, so he'll be coming back, you would think, for next year. And Mercer, after he had worked his way up into a medal contending position, has crashed.
I think that's at 13 too, is it? Just a couple of corners to go. 92. Oh,
the 92 Smith off into the tire barriers. I think that's over the carousel, the approach to the carousel, David, or at least for 92, I think it is for Smith.
They're so close to the end, and obviously 92 must have made a desperate effort to get around Mercer, unless Mercer lost control and lost a bit of time, and Alexander Smith thought he could get around him, but result, both cars out, and Mercer's car looks like it's fairly heavily damaged.
Yeah, he smacked that wall pretty good.
Well and truly deranged. Obviously, the bodywork is deranged, but the suspension there is obviously bent badly.
After a hard fight for those two moving up. So what that does is promote the number 57 of David Ferguson, that lime green Swift, up into the medal. So he finds himself holding a bronze. Last year's silver medalist Mark Hardiman is fourth, and Dubrovich fought his way up into fifth. And Bart Wolf just, I don't know, could not come up with it.
Must have had a last lap incident, because Bart Wolf was hanging right in there towards the end. Something must have happened to him drastic at the end there.
And David Dullum as well, who had qualified so strongly in third, slipped back a little bit to eighth. Jeff Whalen ended up in the 10th spot. Chris Tryon actually had a strong run, came back from 11th, fought his way up into the 6th spot. Let's go down to pit lane, where a very happy crew chief is with John Bizignano.
Randy Hartman, congratulations on another national championship. How much work does it take to get one of these things to perform like that?
It takes a lot of work and dedication, and we've been lucky and fortunate enough for Lady Luck to go our way.
Well, more than Lady Luck, a lot of hard work. 22 years they've been together, and Brian Till down with the winner.
Well, John Fergus, another national championship. That makes 2 in a row for you, 3 in total in this class. Was it as easy as it looked? I hope it was easier than getting your helmet off.
Well, Brian, you know how it is in a class like this when everybody's got the same engine, everybody's running Hoosier tires. I was able to get a great start and work my way up there in the first 3 laps. Was able to get a margin, then drive to that. And gosh, you just hope they work out this way. This was my dream, but this was not my expectation. What a great day. I'm so happy.
Well, we've seen you drive like that before. As a matter of fact, we saw you drive like that last year. Those last 2 laps, were you hearing noises?
Yeah, I was hearing noises, as you know. We lost one with a noise one time, and it's scary. And you're catching up to some wonderful drivers who are having their own race, but gosh, I've got fellas chasing me, and you can't really afford to slow down. And that's always nervousing the last couple laps as well, when you have to carefully work your way through those guys who are racing so hard.
Well, it's 3 national championships. I don't think he has enough years yet to catch up with Jerry Hansen's 27, but I think we'll see this guy with some more trophies on his mantle.
Well, he does love his race, and there's no question. He's also truly one of the nicest gentlemen you will ever meet. John Fergus, a class act all around. By the way, if you're wondering, there is Mark Mercer. He's out of the car. He's fine, and he's studying it. And this was a car he finished building about mid-season, and he gave it a great run for the rest of the season. And he gave it a great run here at the Valvoline Runoffs. When we come back, we hope to visit with our other medalists. Brought to you by Valvoline. You can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Let's get right down to the pit lane. Biz is with second place.
Hans, congratulations on a great run. What about that start?
Well, you know, I've been thinking about it all night.
You've been thinking too much about it, you told me.
So I think I asked about 10 of my competitors. Now, what happens on a start here? Because the last time I started was at the back, so I didn't really know. And there was an opening, and I shot right down and put my nose underneath John, and I just followed him as close as I possibly could.
Well, but he pulled away from you. Did you have anything for him in the mid-race, towards the end of the race?
No, definitely not. But, you know, there's always next year. I keep moving up a spot every year, so.
Great result. He'll be on the podium again maybe next year, but in that first place. Brian Till.
Another happy podium finisher down here, David Ferguson. David, a nice 3rd place for you, but kind of a gift there. Did you see what happened on the last lap?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I only saw the result of what happened on the last lap, as there was a car up against the wall exiting 11. We just sort of kept charging all day. I had a lot of pressure from behind and tried to do good, clean laps. The only way our competition is so tight that the only way someone gets by is when the person in front makes a mistake.
Well, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter. The end result is all the same, and that's what it was for David Ferguson. The guys in front of him caused the problem. He'll be on the podium. He'll take it any way he can get it. Greg?
That is a bronze medal to wear around his neck and take home. Absolutely, John Fergus enjoying the spoils of yet another victory here in the National Championships in Sport 2000. Look at that. I mean, he's won it so many times, and yet it means so much still
for a driver that is so dedicated to his craft like John Fergus.
Well,
Let's take a, I'm sorry.
He said it was a dream day, but he didn't expect it, but it was a dream. And, of course, he said he was incredibly happy. And there you see him right on the top again.
Yep, we take a look at the Runoffs. Sports 2000 results. Peter Ferguson, Hardiman just couldn't get it done and move back into the medals. Then Dubrovich, Chris Tryon, another nice job. David Doolam, who faded along with Wolf in their problems. 10, Jeff Whalen.
Right at the end, too, those two faded, because they
Yeah.
were right up there to within a couple of laps, and we don't know quite what happened to those two guys.
And then there's Bill Broxley. Remember his great battle. Richard Mullen, those two guys getting into it just a little bit. And then there's in 15th. That was a great battle for the entire race. Burke, Fleischle, and Johns were all over each other for the entirety of the race. Want to give you just a stat. There were no cautions, of course. Final margin of victory, 5.9 seconds. And the average speed, 89 miles an hour. And in these cars, as you said, with about 190 horsepower, so that means they're carrying some great momentum and hustling those cars in the corner.
Absolutely. Got a long gut straight here. And, of course, as you can see from these pictures here, very, very, very slippery bodies. These difficult to get. So you need good mechanical grip because you don't get a lot of aerodynamic downforce on these cars.
You know, it's interesting. You come here for the Runoffs. They actually have test days the week before on Saturday and Sunday. Then Monday you practice. Tuesday you get a 20-minute qualifying. Same Wednesday, same Thursday. For some of the drivers, they have to wait till Sunday to race. Sports 2000 had the honor this year of starting it all off, and John Fergus finished this race off with another absolutely superb performance. I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to watching Hans Peter race here again in the future. That gentleman has one.
He looked like he was going to go well there the first couple of laps, but then things went wrong, and of course we saw some very unfortunate incidents in the race.
Well, for Giovanni Sorbello, I certainly hope that doesn't put him off after a long break in racing to come back. Like to have him back and racing right here at the Valvoline Runoffs. Thank you so much for joining us for this national championship. For David Hobbs, for Brian Till and John Bizignano, I'm Greg Kramer. It's been a treat having you with us. Take care, everybody.